Hello, and welcome to Husky Talk. I am your host, the best podcast host in the universe, Steve Cully. I would like to mention our sponsors at Procyon Partners. Procyon Partners, they specialize in wealth management, retirement planning, and employee benefits. President Sean Rabinowitz provides exceptional results for his clients, and he's also going to get me a Tesla one day when I make my first million. And our newest sponsor, Pete Finch in the Finch Law Firm. In a pinch, call Finch. That's Peter Finch in the Finch Law Firm. And with me today, a very special guest, a man I was terrified of for a good year, Mr. Ron Gamble. Ron, how are you?
Hey, how you doing?
Former defensive tackle, defensive lineman from UConn. First time I've seen him in a while. It's great to see you. How's everything been going? I think you're down in Maryland.
Yeah, down in Maryland. I live in
Maryland.
Arnold, Maryland. Yep.
That's right. That's right. So I've been trying to get you on the show. I've been excited to talk with you for a while, especially your group, because your class was unbelievable and probably the greatest group. You were on the greatest team in UConn history.
Yep.
So I always try to feature that, especially, I talk with Shane quite a bit, and he always talks about you guys, and I had Ronell jump on as well.
Yeah.
Um, did you did you grow up in Maryland? Is that where you're from originally?
No, yeah, I was born in Toledo, Ohio, but I moved to Maryland when I was 7 or 8, and yeah, basically grew up in Maryland. Yep.
Now, did you play football right away, early on, like youth?
So, it's different now than it was back in the
Yeah.
day. It used to be, weighted plus age. So I only actually played 1 year of youth football, and it was sheerly because I've been a big off the charts guy my whole life. So when I was 10, I played football with 13, 15-year olds, and
Yeah, you're with the older guys.
yeah, I was basically crying the whole practice, getting my butt
Yeah.
kicked the whole time. So I only did 1 year of youth, and then I didn't play till high school.
Yeah, that was the kind of the same with me. I played all the way through youth, but I was probably the only 10-year-old who was on a diet at the time just so I could
Yeah,
make weight to play in games.
yeah,
Yeah, it was awful. Now
yeah,
you're right. They have no weight limit and
yeah.
everyone can play. And they didn't even have flag back then.
No.
Now that's big. So you played 1 year of youth, and then did you really get going like in junior high, or is that when you started playing the most?
Yeah, well, I didn't play till high school after that 1 year of youth because I
Oh,
loved it, but it was just
yeah.
so rigorous on me. I mean, I was literally getting just beat on constantly, being
Right,
that I
because you
was
had to be with
10.
the older kids, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right. So oh
So
my God, so you didn't start playing until what, your freshman year?
freshman year, yeah,
That's amazing because football is so tough and intricate with the different techniques and learning offense and defense. It's not like basketball or other sports where you can just show up and play.
yeah,
You got to learn so much.
yeah.
Um, did you pick it up pretty easily when you got started?
Well, I would say yes, but for me it was more of I played in high school as like a rageaholic. I used to get in a lot of fights. My brother
That's
used to
awesome. Yeah.
beat me up constantly. So, I played football with just sheer aggression, and I got by with, little to no athletic ability, just the heart of a lion running around full speed,
Well, you
and
were
that
strong too.
yeah, that got me by. Yeah,
You were strong. So you would say that your intensity and grit and fighting ability is how you got by early on.
yes, absolutely.
Did you play? Did they have you playing both ways, or did you just strictly play defense?
Oh yeah, back in my day, I'm 46, so there was no there was no one-way players.
I
You know,
know,
I
I
I
know.
never came off the field, all the way through high school, until I hit college. That was the first time I've ever seen,
Yeah.
one-way players.
Did you like playing offense or no?
No, I did, and surprisingly, I played, in high school, I played a one-man running back, so I played running back and middle linebacker in high school. I actually went to UConn to play fullback, but got
Oh my
switched my,
God.
freshman year. Yeah.
Wow. That I've heard that happen to a couple of guys.
Yeah.
I do a show with Dave Schuman, and he was recruited as a fullback,
Yep, I
and then
remember
he ended
Schumann.
up he ended up getting switched over to linebacker too.
Yep,
It was, I don't know if they do that sometimes. They'll bait and switch you. Um, I coached at Holy Cross, and we would tell guys, yeah, sure, you can come in and play quarterback or play receiver. 2 days later, they're moved somewhere else just to get them
yep,
there. That's
yep.
crazy. So you were playing. It must have been like a wing T type of offense or something like that, where you
No,
were under
it
center.
no, it was a spread offense, but our
Oh, it
quarterback
was.
couldn't throw, so he was basically running every play, and then would throw it out to me in like the flat in like a out pattern. That was the only real pattern I ran, and draws. I'd run a lot of draws,
That
catches
was your
screens.
offense.
Yes, pretty much. It was ridiculous.
You had a quarterback who couldn't throw.
Yes.
So,
Well, so Tim Spurl, he went to Hammond High School with me. At the time, we were the only athletes that were any good that ever went there, and he ended up playing cornerback at University of Virginia. So,
oh wow.
yeah, so he literally couldn't throw, but he could run
Right.
his
Well,
tail off.
they're smart then, because
Yeah,
if you don't have a quarterback, you put your best athlete at quarterback,
yeah,
and then at least gives you some options. So he could run the ball, and then you
yeah,
could lead block for him, and
yeah.
then running draws with you. God, I can't imagine you carrying the football. How
Oh
much
yeah.
did you weigh back then?
So in high school, my playing weight was like my senior year, maybe 225. And I've been the
Wow.
same I've been the same height since ninth grade. As soon as I
Yeah.
hit that height, I stopped growing,
Yeah.
like middle of ninth grade.
Yeah. 6'1", six
Like
two.
6'1" and a half, six
Yeah.
two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because that's a big back. That's a really big tailback, fullback. So,
Yeah. I wasn't known
um,
for my speed.
well, that's okay. That's
Yeah.
okay. That's okay. I had Wilbur Gilliard on last week, and he said the same thing. He wasn't known for his speed as well. He just
Yeah.
would run through people.
Oh, yeah,
So
but he
I,
could run though. He had really good
yeah,
speed though.
yeah, yeah, yeah. He did. He was UConn's leading rusher for a while, the
Yeah.
all-time leading rusher for a while. Um, did you like defense too? I mean, or did you like playing offense, carrying the ball and doing all that stuff?
No, I love defense. I played,
You did,
middle linebacker. That I thought that was always my main thing. But growing up, I always wanted to be Walter Payton. So of
yeah,
course I went to the school to play fullback, and then
right.
I remember specifically. I think his name was Chris Connors. He was a defensive end, and he got hurt. It was his senior year, and that it was literally like the first my freshman year, like the first week out of training camp. They pulled me in and said, "Hey, Ron, we're switching you to defensive end." I said, "Hey, I came here to play fullback." They said, "Oh, well, you're going to play defensive end now." I said, "Okay, got it." And
Wow.
but I that's how the conversation went, but I loved it
Well,
ever
yeah.
since. Yeah,
That's kind of how it usually goes at the college
yeah,
level.
yeah,
It's not really a democracy. You
yeah.
don't
So
really
I'm
get
not
a
I'm not
vote.
upset at it at all.
No, I wouldn't be either. I
Yeah.
wouldn't be either because you were a great defensive lineman. Um, how did your teams do in high school? Were you guys a pretty good team? Were you middle of the road?
We were probably the best season we had was 7-3 my senior year. So we were probably a 50-50 team, 5-5.
Yeah.
Uh, you know,
Did you go to the playoffs?
no, no, we didn't go to playoffs any year. Back
Seven
then, you
and
actually,
three.
yeah,
Wow.
well, back then, if you lost more than 2 games, you weren't going to the playoffs.
Well,
You know,
okay, because that's tough. That's tough. The league you play in, the DMV. I mean, that's such a
yeah,
good hotbed for recruiting, and there's so many good teams. I know DeMatha is down there, right? DeMatha is one
Yeah.
of the good schools,
Mm-hmm.
and I know Smoot came from down there, so
Yep.
there was a lot of good players and a lot of good talent. Um, did you? I mean, did you love football immediately when you started in high school and weren't getting knocked around as much like you did early
Oh,
on?
oh yeah, I've loved football since day one. Even though
Yeah,
when I started in youth, it was very hard for me, but I still loved it. Getting kicked around and getting destroyed every practice. I loved every minute of it. So for me, football has always been a love and something I really enjoyed doing.
but it built toughness, and you
Oh yeah,
overcame adversity and all that good stuff that
yeah.
a lot of them don't do now.
No,
I,
you're
I think I
100%
think
right.
everyone should have to get in a fight. Just get in one
Yes.
fight, because so many kids, they like to run their mouths and they never get checked.
Yep.
And if you
That.
get checked once, you learn to keep your mouth shut.
Yep.
You get
And
punched in
I
the face once.
Yep, and I always say football's the sport that doesn't lie,
Yeah.
Physicality does mean something, and it will tell the truth.
Yes. Yes.
Yep.
So that's funny because I had Jamar Wilkins on as well, and
Mhm.
he had started as a linebacker, and he got moved up to defensive end
Yep.
in college. You getting moved from fullback to defensive end, that's quite a transition.
Yep.
In recruiting back then was so different. You were in a better area, so I'm sure you had coaches that were coming through. But like I remember dubbing VHS tapes and having to send them out everywhere. Did you guys have to do that, or did you have coaches coming through constantly?
No, literally, you saw Hammond High School is not a huge school. We're not notoriously great in football. So I literally did the same thing. I remember
Yeah,
my dad would record VHS
he'd
tapes,
film
record the
you.
games.
Yeah,
So we literally took, probably 15 tapes from me in high school and took it to a video place and we made a highlight tape and I literally mailed that tape to
oh,
probably 50 different colleges. And
so
that's
you
how I
actually
started my
had a
recruiting.
highlight tape made?
Oh yeah, I still have it. Well, I don't have a
Wow,
VHS thing to play it on, but
right.
I still do have
Wow.
it. Yep,
Back then that was so hard to do because
yep,
you actually had I think I made a VHS highlight tape too in from college, and you had
mhm,
to actually time the spots on the video where you wanted them to record from, like
yep,
this minute to this minute. It was such a pain to do, so I can't
yeah.
imagine doing that for high school. So you went and you had that done.
Yeah, my
um
dad paid a video company, and I
yeah.
remember sitting down for hours with the videographer in a room, him setting up the tape and all that stuff.
Picking out the plays you wanted.
Yep.
And was it after your sophomore or junior year that you really started sending tapes out to get recruited?
No, so after my sophomore year is when I started sending tapes out. So yeah,
Okay, so
my
you got
sophomore
ahead.
year is when I really came on the stage
Yeah,
in high school and started, back then when they did papers, I was always in the papers for tackles and stuff like that.
yeah, that's good because back then, like now, kids get offered as freshmen, but
Yeah.
back then it was like rare to get offered as a junior,
Hmm.
and for a sophomore to be proactive putting that stuff together and sending tapes out. That was really good, especially because you came from a smaller school and
Hmm.
didn't have a lot of notoriety. You got your name out there. So I'm sure that by your junior year, a lot of college coaches knew about you and
Hmm.
probably came to at least watch you play or would request film. Was your coach helpful at all?
My coach was. I don't know how much he got colleges to come there because I only remember talking to a UConn coach, but I mean I had other school options, but the UConn coach came to my school a couple times and
In school?
used to come to my basketball practice and watch me play basketball, which was ridiculous.
They all do that. They all
Yeah.
do that. That's crazy. Um, we did that too when I was at Holy Cross. We would go and watch recruits play basketball, and some kids were judged on that. If they played great in basketball, that would like seal the deal for getting them an offer. They just
Yeah,
loved being able to see the athleticism of playing basketball. And
yeah.
especially you, I mean, you were beat 6'1", 6'2". Were you playing inside probably?
I was, but I just to be honest with you, I was horrible at basketball. I didn't
I
start in
was too. That's
basketball.
okay.
I
That's
was
okay.
just a hustler. I'd come in and run around, play some crazy defense, and come sit
Yeah.
back down. You know,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
was that.
I think I was recruited. I know I was recruited by Bevel, and I think his name was Mike Kelly in Doherty. And I was the 15th man on a 2-18 basketball team. And I think it was either Doherty or Bevel who came up to watch a game. So the coach, our coach had to, he had to play me. So he played
Mhm.
me, and I believe I set the record for fouling out in the shortest amount of time. I fouled out within 5 minutes into the second quarter.
Yep,
I've never seen anything like it. But he
yep.
got me in there, and I showed my stuff. And
Hmm.
my coach Doherty was like, I came all the way for this. 5 minutes? You couldn't last a half. Sorry, I did the best I could. I just hack everyone. I can't move my feet.
I
Um,
did the same thing.
did you did you do anything in the spring? Did you play a spring sport?
And so Pete Hughes was my defensive coordinator in high school, and I since have coached with him. He's the coach that he still coaches now. First got me into coaching in high school was Pete Hughes at
Oh, great.
Long Reach High School and then Mount St. Joe High School. But so he told me back in the day he coached track in the spring, and he said he used to call me Ronnie. He said, "Hey, Ronnie, you want to go play college football, right?" I said, "Yeah, yes, sir." He said, "Well, you need to run track to learn how to run." So I was not fast self and ran
He made
track
you
in the spring.
run. Oh,
Yes,
okay.
I
Did you get
ran
to
track.
throw though?
No, I did. Yeah, I did. But
Okay.
I never was overly great at it. The best I got was like third in the county throwing the shot put.
But
Discus, I could never really figure it out.
yeah, I never could. I gave up on discus. I
Yeah,
couldn't do the spin. I'd throw the thing onto the arterial on the road.
yeah,
I was a mess on discus.
yeah.
What what event did they stick you in to
I
run?
was I was a sprinter. I did all the
You
sprint
ran like
stuff.
you ran the 100 and like the
Yep,
4x1?
100 and the
My
200, and
God.
I ran a 400, and believe it or not,
Oh,
in high school, I ran a 400, and 400 they sprint pretty fast, and I particularly ran in a race and couldn't even finish because I
oh,
sprinted as
it
fast as
kills
I
you.
could for like 300 yards. I was done. I came across the line like I got shot. It was
Yeah.
just it was ridiculous.
Yeah,
I
it's so long, and people think there's the technique to running it and
yeah,
how to run the curves and everything, and you go all out and then you're
yeah,
done, and then the
yeah,
last 100 meters you have nothing. That's crazy that they stuck you in the 400.
yeah.
And what was your best 100 time?
Like a 13.4. So I was
That's not terrible.
not quick
That's
by
that,
any means,
that's not terrible. That's not terrible. That's not terrible.
to
13
say the
4 is not
least.
terrible.
Yeah.
I would take that. So you were a three-sport athlete.
Hmm.
That's impressive. That's really kind of what's missing nowadays. Kids get so specialized in their sports, and they play one sport, and it goes all year between the high school team and then the club teams. The travel teams. It's just
Yep.
gotten ridiculous, and there's no three-sport athletes.
Yep.
Nobody does it anymore. I think it's crazy. Um, so after your junior year, and you said UConn came to your school,
Yep.
but not many other coaches came through.
No, the UConn's the only school I remember that actually came to the school and talked to me in
Did
the
you send
coach's
film to
office.
them?
I did not. I did not
That's
send
what's
some to
crazy
that.
too.
Yeah.
That's just crazy too. That wasn't one of the schools you sent the film out to.
No.
Um, did you get interest from the schools that you sent film out to? Any other schools?
A few of them. I sent it to about 20 or 30 schools. Like, you remember the bad stuff, but NC State, I remember sent me back my film, in envelopes. How I
You
was
got the
thank you to
film
them.
sent back.
Yeah, I got the film sent back, and they put
That's always
just
good.
one piece of paper with nothing else on it, typed and said, "You're too slow." It's like, great.
At
Well, at
least
least
they
they
had a
sent.
sense of humor about it.
Yeah, at least they sent it back.
Yeah, that was I remember that too. I always thought that was the worst when they would send the film back, because then you
Yeah,
knew it was like, yeah, they don't like you. They're not even
yeah.
keeping the film. Anywhere else that you remember recruiting you?
Well, I mean, I got recruited by, a lot of schools, Wake Forest, Howard University, big schools,
Oh
like
wow.
that. Yeah. I got recruited by a lot of Ivy League schools because at the time I had a really good GPA in high school, like, 3.3 or 3.4.
Yeah.
But I never really, surprisingly, I never really tried academically. I just
Well, no,
did
none of us
did
did.
well in high
That's
school,
okay.
Yeah.
See, we're just naturally smart, so we didn't have to try hard, and we could
Yeah.
get a 3.4. Did you take the SAT or ACT and do well?
So, so no, I didn't do well. So,
Okay.
so back in my day, you only had to get a 700 on the SAT to
To
go play in
qualify,
college.
right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So I took it like the first time I took it, I got like a combined score of like less than 500.
Right.
So I was trying to shoot for 1,000. I took like 2 or 3 SAT prep
Oh, they're
classes.
brutal.
Yeah, I took the SAT 6 or 7 times, and my best combined score was a 960. I
You
was
took
shooting
it
for a
six
thousand.
times?
Yes.
Oh my God. Oh
Yeah.
my God. That must have been the most miserable experience of your life. Six
Yes.
times taking that test.
I was
I
trying to
took
get a
it
thousand.
I took it twice, and I said that's it. And I think my best was a 1080, but
Yeah.
I was like, wow, I couldn't imagine taking it six times. So you
Yeah.
were
So
taking it. You must have taken it every time it was offered from sophomore year on, sophomore,
yeah.
junior, senior, because it's
Yep.
offered twice a year.
Yep. I was taking it all around the county.
Oh my God. Um, did you? Because I know it was different back then. Did you go to any camps at all in the summer to
N-
practice to work
No,
out for any schools? No
no,
summer camps. Yeah.
never went to any camps. I did my senior year. I did the Chesapeake Classic.
Mm,
And made captain for that and middle linebacker, but that was the only thing that I did in addition to,
that's a big game,
outside of
though.
football season. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. To play in that game, that was a big game.
Yeah.
Um, so your senior year comes, and you're getting recruited. And was UConn showing the most interest at the time?
Yeah, UConn and Howard
Howard.
University and Lehigh
Yeah,
were my final three.
yeah. Those were your final three. And did you end up taking your official visits to all three, or
So UConn was my second official
yeah?
visit. My first one was at Howard University, and let's just say
That
I
must
went
have been a little different.
little different, vastly different. And
Yeah.
I grew up in Columbia, which is a middle class area, not a lot
Yes.
of heavy crime type thing going on. And on my official visit at Howard University, there was a big fight in in a house party,
At
and
Howard?
at Howard University
Wow.
on my recruiting visit, and a guy got stabbed. So I was done. As soon as that happened, I was like, yeah, I'm not built for
Yeah.
this. So that was an immediate no, when I got back
Wow.
there. Yeah.
I would not picture someone getting stabbed at Howard University. So is that in a it's in DC, right?
So, I mean, I
Or
haven't been out there in years, to say familiarize and say exactly where it was at, but I
but it
think
was
it
in a
is.
bad area.
Yeah, it was in a bad area. We were in
Okay.
a house party in a townhouse off campus, and it was a little rough for
Did
me.
you did you like the coaches there? Did you like the guys?
I did. I liked the players that I had met, and were talking to and stuff like that. And they wanted me to play linebacker there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And you obviously still wanted to play running back.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you had your visit to Howard. I assume this would be senior year, kind of that winter period
Hmm.
before
Yep.
signing date. Yeah.
Yep.
So you go up to UConn. And who recruited you from UConn?
He was the O-line coach. I'm trying to remember his name. I remember what he looks like, but I can't remember his name.
I was it Hudson?
Hudson, yes.
That's
Yes.
okay. I heard stories
Blonde,
about him.
blondish gold hair, big, a bear of a man, big
Yeah,
guy.
I
Yeah.
heard stories about Hudson.
Yeah.
I heard stories about Hudson and Coach Guglielmo, Coach Googs. Those were
Yeah.
the funny stories.
Yeah.
So you get to UConn on your visit, and Skip was there, right?
Yeah. Skip Holtz was my first 3 years, and then Randy Edsel was my senior
Right,
year.
right. So Skip was there, and did you like the coaching staff?
Oh, I loved it.
Everyone was
Yeah.
good.
Love Skip Holtz and love the coaches,
Rapone,
that I had. Yep. Coach
yeah,
Rapone, yeah, I loved him. He was let me see how you describe it, like a very emotional coach. Like
yes.
he really poured his heart, into coaching the defense, and that we would have, literally ran through a wall for him.
That's what I've heard. I've heard so many good things about Rapone and Fitch. And Rapone is coaching for the Bucks now, I
Yeah.
believe. I heard so he's still going strong.
Yep.
Um, did you did you have a good time on your visit? And who was your host?
Ooh, my host. I don't remember who my host was, but
That's a good thing. You had a good time then.
yeah, it was a wild, wild visit. But I loved every minute of it. I committed, right after that visit while I was
You
still
did.
up there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they do. The next day they have you meet with the head coach, and they try to get your commitment before you leave. So
Hmm.
you were smart and committed before you left.
Yep.
Do you remember any of the other guys who were on the visit with you?
Mm,
Anyone who committed that
mm,
class
no, I mean I remember guys that I came in with, but I don't remember who was on that visit with
on
me.
that anyone on that visit that stuck out that ended up committing? That's
Uh-uh.
interesting too. Wow.
No.
Um, because it was Chad Cook was your class too, right? Or was he
Yeah.
before you?
No, I
Okay.
think Chad. No, he was in that class with me, but I don't remember him on the visit. But I
Okay.
remember us being the same year.
Okay. Was
Yeah.
it no, because Carl Bond was before. Yeah,
Yeah,
you
he was
guys were the
before me.
last. You
Yeah.
were okay, and I think Hoffman may have
Yeah.
had another year too, but
Yeah, I
um,
think I remember Brian I think he was a year behind me, and Shank was a year in front of me.
you are correct.
Yeah.
Shank was done in '98. Torrey Taylor was '98, and then Shane
Yeah.
was '98 as well.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
committed. That must have been great. Like I didn't even know UConn had a football team. Did you know that
I
UConn had football when you
I
first heard from them?
literally never heard of him
I didn't
before
either.
until I got up there and they started recruiting me. I was like, "Oh, wow. I
Yeah,
did not know."
I had no idea either. Um, when you get up there for your freshman year, was it a culture shock? Was it a big adjustment getting there? And I didn't know if you guys did it, but when I started, they had the freshman practice first. We had like 4 days of just freshman practice before the varsity got there. Did you guys have that or no?
No, we went right in with the varsity, and it commenced of, me getting my ass kicked right right away.
That must have been
You
a
know?
Randyism with the freshman practice because I haven't heard anyone else who had to go through that.
Oh yeah, no.
So yeah, so it was a bit of a culture shock right away.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like there was no more of, I tell kids, high school kids now this, hey, when you go to college, man, and you go there, you're not going to be the head man on campus anymore. You're going to be the little fish, and you're
Yes.
going to have to, fight swimming upstream, And I literally was in that fight from day one.
Because you had started at fullback.
Yeah.
So were you running with the twos or the threes?
When I was at fullback, I was running with the twos,
Okay.
and then when they switched me to defensive end, I started running with twos. But because Chris Connors got hurt,
Yeah.
I started running with the ones, and I had no idea what I was doing. Plus, I was severely undersized, so it was
Yeah.
it was rough, a rough go my
Were
freshman
you
year.
like 230 still?
Yeah, I ended up
Wow.
putting on like 40 pounds
Yeah.
in like 2.5, 3 months.
Yeah,
Eating
you had
everything I
to.
could, lifting out the gym, trying to get big because I was just getting manhandled.
But I mean, you were always a weight room guy. Like, I'm sure you lifted in high school pretty good, and then you probably picked it up more when you got to college.
Oh yeah, yeah. I lifted from, ninth grade all the way
Yeah.
through probably 10 years after,
Yeah.
I got out of college.
Um, when you were playing fullback on offense, what were they running mainly with you?
I was fullback at UConn, was like a pulling guard. We
Usually,
were
yeah, just ISO and power,
yeah,
just all that stuff.
yep.
Yeah.
Power, ISO, offset eye,
Right.
straight lead block stuff, meeting linebackers in the hole, kicking out ends, stuff like that. Would rarely go
Pass
out for a
protection.
pass. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was literally what it was.
And was Shane the quarterback at the time?
So Shane was the quarterback my freshman year, and then my sophomore year, I believe was Hoffman, and he got hurt, and maybe Luke. I can't remember his last name.
Luke Richmond.
Yeah, Luke Richmond. We're going back and forth, and there was one other guy too, but I can't remember his name.
I got you. I got you. Okay. So, wow, that's crazy. And like, I can't even imagine, you're at fullback, you get moved to defensive end. You got to learn how to get into a different stance. You got to learn a whole different technique, how to punch, how to use your hands, how to get off blocks. You got to learn pass rush moves. I mean, that is like so much to be thrown at you. And it was just because this Connors guy got hurt and they go with you, which is remarkable that they would take a fullback and just throw him at defensive end. I mean,
Yeah.
that's such a big transition as opposed to like what Jamar said. He went from linebacker to end, and he said playing linebacker really helped him at defensive end because he knew how to watch film, he knew what to look for, and it made him a much better player. So,
hmm
who was your defensive line coach at the time?
He was the guy from Gonzaga. He was like a short guy with glasses. I don't remember what his name was. Uh,
Did he take a liking to you? Did he work with you?
I mean, he did. So that was my sophomore year. I'm thinking back. The coach that I remember was Coach Moose Johnson.
Okay.
Real big guy. Glasses similar
Yeah.
to mine. Was like a coach from the old school.
Yeah, he was
And
a throwback.
yeah, and he loved us up and worked us really hard. So he was the first coach when I went to defensive line. I remember him.
Right. Right. So, did you play pretty much all throughout your freshman year?
Yes, I didn't
Wow.
redshirt. I played. I wish I would have redshirted, but
I
I
know.
didn't redshirt. I wasn't very good my freshman year. I'm be honest with you. But I did play. I played strong side in, and Chad Cook was that weak side in. And he was
Yeah,
he was
but you know
much
what?
better.
To make the transition from being a fullback to go to defensive end, I mean, it's not like you're going to set the world on fire. There's such a big learning curve to that.
Yeah. Yep.
Um, did they have a rotation with you at least, or were you in most of the time?
I was in most of the time.
Wow, they really threw you into the fire.
Yep. I remember Ernie, Big Ernie. I don't remember his last name. Uh,
I've heard the name before.
yeah, we rotated some at defensive end if I'm remembering correctly.
And then your sophomore year, is that when you started to come into your own and started to pick things up better and
Yeah,
dominate?
yeah,
Yeah. And eventually, I believe, didn't you get moved inside? You got moved to three technique.
yeah. When Etzel's first year, my senior year.
Oh,
So
Randolph moved you inside.
yeah, so there's a story for that. So my junior year was the year that you were talking about where we were, the
Yes, you were
best team
unbelievable.
ever,
Yes.
in UConn and all that.
I didn't know
We
you
were
were an end.
Yeah, we were returning our whole defense, like
Yes.
just about.
Yes.
And Etzel came in, and it's like he just hit the shuffle button and moved us all around, and we were terrible.
Yeah.
You know,
I had no idea. I had no idea that you were an end the whole time.
yeah.
So, I had talked to Carl Bond and Tori Taylor and Shane Jamar. They
Hmm.
all said that the big reason the team was successful in '98 was because like 99% of the team stayed up over the summer, and
Oh yeah,
there was nothing to do. You guys just trained and you partied and hung out together.
yeah,
And he said that you really all became friends. You got to know each other more on a personal level. And he thinks that bond that was built really made the difference and gave you the confidence that you were going to have a successful season.
yeah,
You feel the same way
yep.
that summer that because he said you guys worked your tails off that summer.
Yep, that 100%. We literally did everything together, and lifted, we were on the track getting tortured, together. We hung out together, ate together. Like,
Yeah,
I when I looked, next to me, I knew that guy next to me was gonna, give it all and die on the field for me, just like I was gonna do the same for him. You
right.
know.
Was that when Mike Golden was the strength coach?
No, I remember him, Mike Goldberg. Yes,
Yeah.
Yeah, Goldberg was my, I think, senior year, and then I remember the guy before him. Uh, I think he's since passed.
You talk about Jerry Martin?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Coach
Jerry
Martin.
Martin did. Yeah, and Coach Martin died unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, it was Golden. And then that was a crazy summer. And I remember because I believe I came to your first game that year against Colgate because Colgate was
Hmm.
right by where I lived. And I was just wowed because UConn had offered me that summer. I
Hmm.
remember I got a letter saying that they wanted to offer me a scholarship, and I remember my dad looking at it and saying, "Is this real?" Because they're saying we want to offer you a scholarship, and he was concerned about the word "want." Like, is that like official?
Yeah.
And so they were one of my first offers, and I went to the Colgate game, and it was just unbelievable. The team
Hmm.
offensively, you were so dynamic, and defensively, you guys were tough and physical and hard hitters, made plays all over, and there were some shootouts, but you got stops when you needed to,
Yeah.
and that front was so good. I know it was you. I know it was Chad. I know Timko was in there as well, and
Hmm.
Rennell was in there, right?
Yeah. So not my junior year, he didn't play a whole lot, but my senior year,
He
he
did.
was in there a lot. It was uh I remember we used to call a guy Cooter or and Russo.
Oh, that's right, Russo. I heard about
Yeah.
him. He heard he was crazy. Yeah,
Yeah, he was insane, but he was
I heard he
he
was
was a good
crazy.
quick swim move. He
Yeah,
would beat the hell out of guys.
and he was
Um,
playing inside.
he was playing inside. Yeah,
Okay, so you had him inside, and
yeah,
you and Chad on the outside. I mean,
yep.
I don't think you could get any better. And like when they were recruiting you, did they? talk to you about going to the Big East and going Division 1A? Was that part of their pitch at all?
Yes, the 100% that was part of their
Yeah.
pitch, you know. They
I
were they were
can't
talking
believe
all
that.
about that going to the Big East and how my, sophomore year, they were gonna go to the Big East, yeah.
I can't believe that because I had talked to some players from the early 90s and they were saying the same thing. It's like by
Yeah.
your sophomore year, we're going to be
Uh,
Division 1A and we're going to be in the Big East. And it was like a 10-year process before it actually happened.
yep, it
And
was
and that's
crazy.
where they were selling kids on that they
Yep.
were going to do that. Um, so wow, that I can't believe that they did that to you as well. Uh,
Mhm.
it was your junior year. I mean, was that your best year statistically? Was that
Y
where you had your
Yes.
most production? Yeah, yeah.
Yep. Once I moved inside there, I was a super fast D tackle that would just get mashed in double teams and, you know,
Were you just undersized? You were
yeah,
just
I would,
undersized.
yeah, that's what I mean. I was like a tweener in between defensive end and
Yeah,
inside guy, but, you know.
yeah, yeah. Because I remember that. What do you remember about? Because I was at both UMass games, and those games were freaking wild. I mean, you guys
Mhm.
pulled one of them out in overtime, and then I went to the game at UMass to be recruited by UMass because they had offered me, but I ended up talking to the UConn coaches more.
Mhm.
Um, those were such good games, but I mean, you beat the national champions twice. I
Yeah.
mean, Marcel's ship, they had so
Mhm.
much talent, and you guys shut them right down.
Yeah, so the UMass games, were, it was like you said, it was a huge deal, but, I remember their offensive tackle was ridiculous. Like, he was a big, big guy. He's a roid monster. He was like six
Yeah,
six, 330. I mean, he was just manhandling me
yeah,
for most of the game. So I remember, literally having to summons everything I had to even, make any plays at all because he was, just throwing me around
right,
a lot.
right, right. And then the playoff game, you got to play Hampton. Um, was that a home game?
So I don't even remember playing Hampton
You don't remember the
in a
Hampton
playoff
game?
game,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember Georgia Southern? Everyone said it was way too hot.
Yeah, well, I remember Georgia Southern, boy. Those games were ridiculous. That was a
um,
assignment football. I remember they ran
triple
that like
option.
yeah, that triple option and that down block I was tackling that lead carrier every time whether he had the
Yeah,
ball or not. I remember that.
I remember because Jamar said that Rapone changed like the entire defense around. And he thinks that to this day, if you had just played your base defense that you had done all year, you would have won that game.
Yeah.
And that's what drives him crazy. And then your senior year happens, and Randolph comes in. Um, were you surprised by that at all? I mean, because Skip coming off his best season. I mean, were you worried about him possibly leaving?
I mean, no, I had no idea he was leaving, but we all loved him.
Yeah,
Skip Holtz.
he was a player's coach for
He
sure.
was a player's coach. He taught family, play for your brother, stuff like that. So we had no idea. And then when it switched and Etzel came in, he was the exact opposite. He was like
Yes, yes,
he was a dictator and he would tell us, if your brother's not, not ready, push him down, leave him behind. Like he was the exact opposite. So it was a
he was.
huge culture shock and clash than, what we were
What you had
used to.
had, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I had him on the podcast, and he was very honest. He was 40 years old. It was his first head coaching job. He felt slighted because he did not get the head coaching job at Boston College
Mhm.
when Tom Coughlin left. And the reason was he did not have coordinator experience. So he was with the Jaguars for a couple years, and then he went to Georgia Tech and was the coordinator there. They had a pretty good year, and then UConn hired him. And he admits he came in. He wanted to set the tone right away and try to show a different side. That things were going to be different. He didn't want to let anyone run roughshod over him, and
Mm.
he was a little hard on guys, and he ran guys off. And the
He did just
funniest
that for
the
sure.
the funniest story I heard was when they were giving you your rings. Roy Hopkins told me the story when you got your championship rings. Randy was just throwing them at everyone. Here you go. Here you go.
Mm.
Here you go. Tossing them to you. Um, and then was it that spring that they decided to move you inside?
So I don't remember when they told me exactly I was moving inside, but it was not a conversation. It was like, hey,
You're
you're
playing D
going
tackle.
inside, you're
Yeah.
playing D tackle, we'll put you in the three technique, just get after it. They told me, and
Yeah.
I was young, didn't understand a lot of what the difference was. They said, hey, just go play football, play it like you'd play defensive end, which it was
Right.
not.
No,
you
not
know,
at all.
yeah.
No, I remember you had Donnie Roberts. Donnie Roberts was your coach. But yeah, I remember when I came in and I saw you and Chad Cook. I was terrified. I don't think I'd said a word to Chad Cook for like 2 months. I was afraid to look at him
Yeah.
because you guys were just beasts. Like I'd never seen defensive linemen like you. And I remember because we were short on offensive linemen, and somebody got hurt. Darby got hurt, and Campoli moved to guard, and I
Yeah.
had to run with the ones at tackle, and I was like, wow, I was out of my element because I remember the first 2 weeks at camp, I don't think I touched anyone. Like I couldn't get in anyone's way. You could have just put a cone out there for me. I
The
was I was playing against I was playing against Rob Long, I
Yep.
remember, and Rob Long was just running circles around me.
Yeah, he was a fast defensive end
Yeah,
boy.
he was. He was.
Yep.
I couldn't do anything against him. And then I think they ended up moving Smoot outside. Smoot ended up moving to end, and then you played inside. And then I think it was Ryan Timko and Rennell, and then Chad Cook. I think that
Mhm.
was the group.
Yep.
Um, and that season was so difficult because you had so much talent returning, and I think Hoffman could have gotten the job done and definitely made the playoffs or contended for the A10. But it was just a difficult environment with the change, and we didn't have a ton of success. I remember the Kentucky game going down there. That was freaking wild. I
Yep.
remember how hot that was. And I remember we were winning in the first quarter, and they had that picture on the wall in the coach's office, 14-0 UConn at the end of the
Yeah.
first quarter, Kentucky.
Yeah.
That was one of the mementos they kept and held it up.
I
Um,
I remember a memory I have from the Kentucky game is remember they had that quarterback Tim Couch that played for the Browns in the NFL for a few years, right? So this is how I tell people when I describe my college career. They say, hey, you know, did you ever go try to play pro? I said, yeah, oh yeah, I loved it. I wanted to play in the pros. On that Kentucky game, I got a free release where they where the guard didn't block me. Made a mental error or something. I went as fast as I could, plowed into Tim Couch, got a sack on that
yes,
game, hit him with everything I had, and he literally got up like I had never touched him, sprung
yeah,
right back up, and I was like, "Yep, that's
wow,
why I didn't
yep,
go play in the NFL. I
yeah.
hit that guy on everything I had, and it was nothing."
Nothing came from it. You
No, nothing
just
came.
got right back up like nothing happened.
Yep,
Oh my God, that's crazy.
yep.
What did you end up majoring in at UConn?
So that's not like in high school, I was, a smart guy, 3.3 GPA. This is how I picked my major in college. Bev Sims was
I
our
love
academic,
Bev.
counselor. Loved her. She was literally like my aunt. She
Yeah.
she loved us all, would do anything for us. So she said, "These are your two choices." I wanted to major, be like an athletic trader, major in
Yeah.
kinesiology. I don't even know how you say that.
Kinesiology. Yep.
Kinesiology.
Yeah.
And she said, "Well, Ron, you're not going to have a lot of time being on
You're
the
not gonna
football
be able to
team."
do that.
She said, These are your choices. You could
Yeah.
pick sociology or communication." I said, "Well, what is everybody?" So most people are picking sociology. I said, "Well, all the dumb guys are taking that. I'm taking communication." Little did I know that I was one of the dumb guys too.
Yeah. Right.
But I picked communication.
So you ended up majoring in communications?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. I was Soc. I did Soc.
Yep.
We called it major. You majored in graduation.
Yeah.
That's basically what it
Pretty
was.
much.
You majored in
That's
graduation.
I tell people my
Um,
major was football. That was
yeah,
that
yeah,
was it.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So after graduation, where did you end up going? Did you go back to Maryland right away?
Yeah, I went back to Maryland. Yep.
Okay, you went back to Maryland, and I didn't know. Did you get married? Do you have kids?
No, yeah, I have a whole bunch of kids. I have well, not a whole bunch of kids, but I have a 23-year-old, I have
Oh
a
my
19-year
God,
old, a 17-year-old, and a 13-year-old.
jeez, that's a wide range. I mean, you look so young to have a 23-year-old.
Oh yeah,
That's
I'm I'm
crazy.
I'm 46.
Well, we lie on this podcast all the time. You can say you're 40. It's fine.
That's
Um,
why I look like Santa Claus. So there's nothing wrong
how
with that. I admit it.
how are your kids doing? What are they all doing?
Doing good. I have my
Yep.
daughter just finished dental school, so she's
Oh, that's
a dental
great.
hygienist and is doing well there. My 19-year-old works on cranes. He works for Kona Cranes.
That's
Doing
a
that.
great job.
Yep. My 17-year-old is a senior, and my 13-year-old is a freshman. So
Do
they're
they
still in high school.
do they play?
Yeah, so my 17-year-old did play football until he blew out his knee and had to have
Oh,
reconstructive surgery last season. So he didn't play football this year. So he doesn't play anymore. My 13-year-old plays. He's a freshman at Good
yeah.
Counsel High School, and he's doing really well. He loves it. So going good there for him.
Well, would he have the opportunity to play for the team that you coach for?
Yeah, so I'm one of the volunteer coaches at Good Counsel High School.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So
Okay.
he plays for that team, yes.
And how long have you been coaching for?
I've been coaching a long time. I started when my 19-year-old was first playing football when he was maybe 6 or 7. I started coaching because I couldn't stand watching, and
I
the
know it's
coaches,
so frustrating watching the other
yeah,
guys do it.
they didn't know any technique or know any scheme or stuff like that. So that's the reason why I got into coaching, because I literally couldn't bear it. So I started out doing youth and did years of youth, and have been in high school for about 5, 6 years.
And
Yeah.
then what career did you end up getting into?
So when I got out of college, I was super, super young. I was 22, when I graduated, and came home to Maryland. I would just, I had a communications degree, but
What do you
communications
do with
really
it?
is,
Yeah.
yeah, it wasn't
Yeah.
really a whole lot of anything. All I could do is, talk to people. So, I would go to career fairs,
It's
get
all-
a managerial job somewhere,
yeah.
work it for a few months, decide I didn't like it, and I would just quit, go back to a career fair and get another job. So I did that 5 or 6 times, and didn't know what I wanted to do. So I ended up applying it because I never got in trouble my whole life. I applied everywhere in the state and took a law enforcement job
Right.
in 2001, a year out of college for me,
Right.
and just been doing it ever since. You know.
So you must love that. So you're a cop basically.
Yeah, so I'm near the end now. I'm 20, a little over
Yeah, you're at
23
your
years in. But I've been at
that's
SRO the
awesome.
last 10, 10, 12 years. Really enjoying that. A school resource officer, so It's a lot of fun. I do really love and enjoy that.
Um, so that's great. You get to work as a school resource officer,
Hmm.
and that's huge for mentoring kids.
Hmm.
Which reminds me, I have to mention our other sponsor, Green Street Trust. Green Street Trust is proud to support Husky Talk. Rennell Jump and his team specialize in alternative investments and optimizing portfolios through strategic tax planning. Schedule a free strategy session today at calendly.com/Green Street Trust. That's
Yeah.
Rennell Jump. Rennell Jump is one of our sponsors. So man,
Love
that's awesome that you
love
got it.
Rennell.
Yeah, I love Rennell too. I
Yeah, I
love
love
Rennell
that
too.
guy.
I love Rennell. I love that we were able to get him on as a sponsor, um, and we're trying to help him out with some clients. And the biggest thing we're trying to do is alumni engagement, because exactly your story is what we're trying to fix. Because UConn, we didn't have a lot of alumni engagement where you were set up with a job coming out of college, or someone to help guide you out of college.
Hmm.
And that's what we're trying to build, um, really, like a database of alumni that we can go to, um, depending on whatever career you want to get into, and they will help you and get you started, either give you advice or get you a job, and that's what's
Yeah,
needed, and that's what other schools do.
I do remember Randy Etzel having a meeting with him my senior year. He said, "Hey Ron, you're a hard worker. Love playing football." He said, "I can get you a job at Centos, which was like
Oh, the
a
delivery. That's what Terry McLaury did.
yeah."
That's the delivery company. He hated his life.
Yeah, like, they said, "We can get you a job at Cintas," but, I was young, I was like, "Oh," "No,
Yeah,
I'm
you're
not doing
driving the
that."
truck.
Yeah, and then years later, I became a law enforcement officer. I'm like, "Come on," I could have been driving truck, yeah.
Yeah, right, right. No, but I think you did the right thing getting into law enforcement. And lastly, I gotta mention again our newest sponsor, Peter Finch. In a pinch, call Peter Finch. The Finch firm has quickly made an impact in the community across the state of Connecticut for clients' rights and interests in some of the toughest legal battles in the state. The Finch firm can help you if you are injured in an accident, arrested, feel your rights have been violated, or otherwise need legal counseling. The Finch firm is not afraid to fight any Goliath. So, Ron Gamble, thank you so much for being on Husky Talk. What a crazy story. Crazy
Yes, sir.
story coming from being a fullback, defensive end, getting thrown inside the defensive tackle, to law enforcement. Congratulations, because you're going to be probably retiring it soon, and that's going to be awesome. And I'm so happy your kids are doing well, and your 13-year-old is playing, and you'll have a chance to coach him. It's great. Congratulations on all of it. And we want to mention Bleeding Blue for Good. Mike Burton has done all he has with like 10 people to raise money for our NIL collective. We need everyone's support to raise the money needed
Yep,
to continue to have success in football. Uh, if all we need is more people to donate, we get more people to donate. Every dollar counts, and we'll have a chance to show. I mean, I was at the game last week, and I could see the difference on the field with the talent. Now that
yeah,
we have some real talent and real ability, so Mike isn't looking for thousands of dollars. If you can give $200, if you can give $500, that's what he needs. We just need more people giving that. Go to www.bleedingblueforgood.org and pick your sport to donate for football, and you receive a tax write off. And thank you again, Mike Burton, for having me up this weekend for the game. Although it drove me up a wall, they won, and that's progress. That's
Yes.
progress, right? So,
Hmm.
but again, for Ron Gamble, thank you so much for being on the show. I am Steve Cully, the best podcast host in the universe. Remember, when life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Take 2 oranges,